Are you looking into home ownership through rent-to-own? After watching this video, you're going to learn everything there is to know about standard rent-to-own agreements. Rent-to-own is exactly what it sounds like. It gives the tenant the opportunity to own a property after a given time range within living in the home, which is all contractual, and gives them the first option, usually to purchase a property once the lease concludes. And there's two different options. There's the lease option and lease purchase. One great thing that I love with rent-to-own is it gives the renter the opportunity to own the property at a bit of a discount, given that a percentage of their rent is going to go towards the mortgage principal and will help towards the final purchase price in the future. Now with rent-to-own, many contracts involve the tenant to take on all the obligations involved with maintenance, wear and tear. So this will mean paying for insurance, property taxes, any maintenance fees, any wear and tear, anything as such, and they're going to be paying a higher rent involved, typically with many rent-to-own contracts. So they are paying a premium rent and they're absorbing a lot of the costs involved with maintaining the property, which gives the investor a high cash flow and also gives them a return once they have to sell the property to the tenant. With rent-to-own contracts, there are non-refundable fees, which is the option fee, which is essentially a down payment roughly in the range of 1 to 5%. Of course, this all depends on the contract between the investor as well as the tenant. But typically, this will not be refunded back to the tenant in the event that they decide to not go through with purchasing it at the end of the term, or they just are unable to. So that's typically, like I said, about 1 to 5% of the asking price of the property. Lease option is one of the options involved in which it gives the tenant the first opportunity to purchase the property from the investor without fully obligations. So in the event that the 2 to 3 year contract ends and the tenant decides to not go through purchasing the property, or they're unable to receive financing, they can walk away scot-free, and now the investor can either keep it as a buy and hold strategy, or they can go off and sell it or do as they please. Now with lease purchase, it gives you the opportunity to own the property. However, you must be able to buy that property from the investor once the time frame ends on the term, or else there of course can be some contract legalities that'll go through into court. So I highly recommend that whichever option you decide to get into, you review it with a lawyer to best position yourself for success. Now, the best way to succeed in this strategy is continue to do what you did as soon as the contract started. Work your career, generate income the way that you did, have a good credit score, have a good down payment, pay down debt, anything needed to enhance your probability of receiving financing. Now you might be asking yourself, where do they determine the price? Well, there's two different ways. They can either A, go about it up front based on market statistics of how the market has performed of late, or at the very end, based on how well the market performed at that specific time frame, can be negotiated amongst both parties in the very beginning. Now, of course, for both parties, depending on how the market sways, it may be beneficial to look at how the statistics have gone through, whether you're a renter or an investor, and see what is the best option for you and try to make it, of course, as mutually beneficial for both parties. As I mentioned earlier, you're able to get a discount on the property as you pay down the principal on it. So let's say, example, your rent is $1,200 and 25% of it will go towards mortgage pay down to reducing the cost in the very end. That leaves you with about $300 a month of discounted savings. Now with that $300, let's say that is for a 36-month term, so let's say a 3-year term, that'll be a combined total of $10,800 of a discount at the very end. That could be a big difference in the long term in terms of amount of interest and principal you're paying on your home. Now, depending on the agreement that you have with the investor, you'll have a higher rent total and may have to pay for the combined total of the maintenance, wear and tear, insurance, property taxes, and any costs associated with the property. So be mindful and look at that. Some of them may not be. So for some plans where you're paying a significantly higher rent total than the market, there's a possibility that you may not be paying for all of those fees and the investor may be. But if you're paying more close towards a market rent total, then there's a chance that you'll be absorbing more of those home ownership costs. So something to look into when you're getting into home ownership through rent-to-own, and asking your legal personnel. And in terms of maintenance, not necessarily meaning lawn mowing, that's something of course the tenant has to be taken care of for the most part, the lawn care, but more of the wear and tear, anything to do with the structural, any plumbing issues, mechanical, or anything of that sort. As I mentioned a bit earlier, now once you're ready to purchase the property and your term is up, and you're able to qualify for financing, now is the time where the lending institution will pay off the investor, and now you have a mortgage with the financial institution. So So there you are, you finally have home ownership. Now, the ideal tenant for rent to own is someone who has a good stable income, down payment, savings, and credit score, as well as someone who's able to maintain the property well. If they're able to conduct themselves in a professional manner and take care of many things they have, whether it being their current living residence before entering home ownership, their vehicle, anything as such, it shows that they're more likely to take care of the home and not trash it, which shows there's a potential higher probability that they're going to stay with the contract and hopefully be able to purchase it if nothing happens financially. I hope this video was super helpful and insightful and gives you all the information you need to enter home ownership through an alternative lending strategy such as rent to own. Josh Tavares, licensed realtor with eXp Realty Brokerage based in Toronto. Remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and jiggle the notification bell to get updates on our newly uploaded content. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care.